Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB Livestream's $5 song reviews, where today, for just $5, we will review your song via Ko-fi. And if we switch over to here, we'll get back to fishy screen, because I want to have a quick chat about something, okay? Yesterday was a shit show. Yesterday was a mess. Here's what happened. I started the live stream with the best of intentions. I came on, I was ready to do it, I was ready to go. And then I started playing a track after Aqua24 submitted a song, and it did not want to start. Like, as an OBS would not play the audio for it. So I closed the live stream, and then I started a new one. Now, you might be wondering why Jacob and Le Pianiste have commented on that side if this is a new live stream. And it's because it's not. It's the same one from yesterday. I thought that I had started the second live stream, but I hadn't. So what happened yesterday was, after I did that initial video and then restarted and fixed OBS and all that bullshit, I went and I opened up OBS again, made it work. I started reviewing the track, but YouTube did not know, even though I specifically asked OBS to start the live stream, that it was that. So something miscommunicated between OBS and YouTube, and I thought I was streaming. And to be fair, I could swear that I had started the start stream button on YouTube. I can swear that I pressed that button, but maybe I didn't. Either way, what happened is that I just to be clear, I reviewed the track for Aqua24. I'm going to be uploading number 32, yesterday's one, to the channel as an edited one, just so it's all together, because I want Aqua24's review to be public for obvious reasons. But yeah, it was just a mess. And so for me, again, Aqua24, if you're watching this, I apologize, because you probably were like, he just left and didn't come back. He took my money. No, I didn't. I reviewed it. In fact, I will provide tangible evidence here. And not here. Where would it have been? It would have been about 12:40. No. So here we go. So you can see here, I went through the damn thing. I went through the song. We reviewed it. It's all here. I reviewed the entire thing. And I thought that nobody was interested in watching the live stream. And I thought that the stream was live. But I never realized that the stream was live. As in that it wasn't live. So yeah. If you're wondering why there wasn't a stream yesterday, there was. I just didn't press the like button. But anyways, we're here now. After that little vent. I'm thinking of getting a new webcam as well, because I cannot wear any shirt that is not black without the lighting on my camera having an episode, which is why I'm wearing a hoodie inside instead of my pink t-shirt. Because what happens is, if I wear the pink t-shirt, like, is this live right now? I don't even know. Apparently it is live. We've been live for 3 minutes 54. That's good. But yeah, I've been looking at webcams, and apparently, there's like a face cam Mark II that is quite good. And apparently it won Best Streaming Equipment by the European Hardware Awards in 2024. So this is probably something that I'm going to pick up sooner rather than later. Because even though I am phobic about USB-C inputs on webcams, like, it's got to be done. Because I feel like just having a green, like, the main issue I was using my camera was because of the connection issues and stuff like that, the HDMI and stuff like that. But I just feel like it'd be better to do that, to just get a webcam. It does 1080p 60, which is the equivalent of what mine does. I assume It does HDR as well, which is nice. Yeah, no marketing shenanigans. Yeah, see, that looks good. You can't see it here because I'm in the way. But if you look at that, it looks smooth. It looks nice. Okay, that's like probably high res like situation there. Yeah, so it's okay. Look clear in the harshest conditions. There we go. So you can like get editing and stuff like that on as well. Yeah, low latency streaming and clean image. That's why other webcams need extra processing, causing unnecessary lag and artifacts. Facecam doesn't. Behind the build, precision capture, robust image engine, ultra fast USB. Yeah, tell you what. 2 meters. 2 meters of detachable USA to USB-C. That would be great. I shit you not, man. Have that the cables for USB-C are like the worst thing about it. I'll put myself back. The cables are the worst thing about USB. Nah, man. Nah, dude, it's battery power. It's so archaic. Like these. This is what my camera battery is powered on. Little batteries. I've gone through so many webcams. I have gone through Logitech ones, the Logitech, what is it? The StreamCam, the 920s back in the day when I first started out. I had both of the Razer ones, the Kaio and the Kaio Pro as well. Absolutely cursed. I fucking hate them. They made me so angry. So angry. The only reason I didn't get this guy, the original face cam, is because of the fact that it was not available in New Zealand at the time. You just could not get it in New Zealand. But no, I've got a little Canon DSLR that I should be taking photos with or doing anything else with. But instead, I use it as a face cam on like videos because I cannot for the life of me get webcams to behave. So this is my final shot. If I buy this is the final shot with webcams. If this one doesn't work, I'm throwing webcams in the bin, and we're just going to have to stick with Canon camera and wearing black hoodies for the rest of my time streaming. But, it's fine. Definitely. Like everything else in this room works perfectly well. It is literally just the camera. Everything else. By the way, Blue Dinner Box, welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're well. If you're answering questions, or if you're asking questions in regards to the stream, that means I am live, which is great. Yeah. My voice is a bit screwed because I was screaming before because I was just getting so done with stuff. What a day, eh? What a day. But also, there needs to be a consistency with this. I like that it has a custom heatsink. I've never heard of a webcam overheating, but you never know. Privacy built in? Oh, dude, there's a privacy shutter built into it. That is really cool, man. I mean, not that I can make the most of a clamp, because if I had the clamp, it'd point down at me like I was like a friggin' gnome, but that's fine. With a focal length of 24 millimeters and an f2.4 aperture, that's in the middle of what my camera does, so that's cool. I'm assuming that, yeah. That's probably going to be fine. Face cam is tuned to a focus range of 30 to 120 centimeters. So you can lean back. Oh, this just sounds so fucking good. This sounds so good. I mean, I don't really care about this stuff so much. I just want it to plug and play. I mean, if I have to fiddle around and mess around a bit, that's fine. But I just want it to work, Most importantly, I want to have lighting that is consistent because I've spent nigh on $1,000 on lights. I have two. This is ridiculous. I have 2 key lights, 2 Elgato key lights, like a row of Philips Hue bulbs, and I have my Elgato. I have my Nanoleaf panels over there, and it's just the camera does not care. The moment I move, it just goes blue. It just changes the color of it. It's just so silly. And it works with Stream Deck. Oh my goodness. This truly is the time to be alive. Oh my goodness. I've just realized because I have a Stream Deck. That's how I do this stuff. Whee! You know, in fact, everything goes by, you know? It's great. It's great technology. The Stream Deck and the Elgato key lights are pretty dope. So I'm hoping that this will work. You can exposure control, dial your fob, flash memory, never lose your settings again. That. Facecam remembers your settings even after resetting or switching computers. It is our time to be alive. Don't even get me started on Logitech and that shit. Wow. But most importantly, magic AI effects. Leverage your NVIDIA RTX GPU to apply virtual backgrounds, enable face tracking, and even simulate eye contact. Wait, what does simulate eye contact mean? Leverage your... What does that mean? What does simulate eye contact mean? Ah, yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. Very excited for this. I don't need 4K 60. I don't record in 4K 60. No, because webcam mics and it uses a Sony sensor. That's dope. Compressed and uncompressed. Oh, dude, I am so close to just going out and buying this today. Like, legit. That would be amazing for it just to work. Oh, man, so good. Does anyone want a song requested, requested, by the way? I suppose people are maybe a little bit weird about yesterday. That's fair. So I'm heavily considering getting one of these. It'd also be smaller than having an actual camera as well. So be less of the screen taken up. That would be good as well. Oh, well, it's okay. If we don't have requests, we have music news. Okay, music news. Whoopi Goldberg tells Chiefs fans blaming Taylor Swift for Travis Kelce's performance to grow up. There. Ryan Murphy says Travis Kelce was the most delightful person on Grotesquerie set. Billie Eilish partners with Google Maps to direct fans to sustainable options. It's kind of cool, actually. Kind of like that. Partnership will direct fans attending shows to Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft Tour to eco-friendly transportation and plant-based food options. Ringo Starr cancels remaining 2 shows of tour due to illness. I'll Be Sure calls for investigation into Kim Porter's death. Okay. Weekend now has the most songs to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify. So it's kind of like Billie Eilish is the most streamed, but then you've got The Weeknd, which has the most billion songs. So that's cool. Yep. Okay, cool. Ah, yes. That's fair. Honestly, like, for JoJo Siwa in this part of her career playing the villain, like, any attention is attention, to be fair. And there's always going to be, like, a subset of people who are like, yeah, being unliked is cool, man. It's cool to not be popular. And then, you know, the irony of that is lost. JoJo Siwa isn't interested in getting you to like her. Any attention is attention. My favorite thing to do on this earth is to entertain and make people smile and laugh, whether or not they are laughing with me or laughing at me. Oh, I get it. So it's more like either being it's like being the jester, right? In Shakespearean plays, where you've got someone and they are, how do I describe it? They're like pretending to be dumb, but they're actually not. Yeah, I get that. Read more stories. Oh, no. We usually just read the first page, to be fair. Music news. Graceland. Jeff Buckley's Memphis home is being turned into a tribute Airbnb. Okay. Dolly Parton and goddaughter Miley Cyrus are actually distant blood relatives. That's actually crazy. That's crazy that that's the case. That's cool. The baby honors late brothers. Late brother with the Baby Cares Mental Health Resources Program. That's actually a really nice thing. Good on the baby for that. Sean Combs, an employee bound from rape to... Oh, yeah, it's bad. So there's been some a little bit more interesting news recently. I mean, like, the Sean Combs situation continues to be an absolute dumpster fire. Sabrina Carpenter retires horny nonsense outros on short and sweet tour. Okay. And Bruce Springsteen will continue to tour until the wheels fall off. Great. That's cool. That's cool. And finally, Pitchfork. News. Ice Spice reaches settlement in Hamoud. Copyright infringement lawsuit. Okay. Sean Diddy Combs still incarcerated on federal charges. Sued for sexual assault. Yeah. Lady Gaga releases new album Harlequin on Friday. Makes sense. I suppose that'll be where the movie comes out, right? All right. I mean, I think that's music news. I don't really have a lot else to talk about. Again, I know it's probably a little bit weird yesterday with the stream and stuff like that, but I'm not really sure what else to do about that. I just need people. I'll upload number 32 today, and we'll get that up on the channel along with 33. There's not really much else to talk about at this point. I feel like the album's going well. I got 10 tracks done for an album. You know how you guys have stuff that you're working on and so the only reason I bring up the album is because as a music reviewer, I figure I should show that I can play so that people understand that if I'm talking about something, I kind of know stuff about it. Because if you're a reviewer who just talks shit, you know, like people are like, yeah, I know that you can like talk about it, but do you actually understand it intrinsically? So that's part of why I'm releasing an album, also because I enjoy it. The album at the moment has 9 completed tracks. They're very short. Most of them are about like 2 minutes, basically. A lot of them are 2 minutes. Some are less than 2 minutes. There's one that I did more recently that was like 3 minutes 48, which is the longest one. And I find that when you make an album, you often, I think you learn more about what you want to make. And it gives me an appreciation for bands like Metallica, for example, who like put out 8-minute tracks, and Trivium, who put out like 13-minute tracks, and Opeth, who put out like 30-minute tracks. And it's just ridiculous. To be able to sort of like stitch ideas together and be able to outlay them into like a long form piece is incredibly difficult. And I suppose as a closing comment, what I want to say is I think that if you are wondering whether or not you should make an album, you should. I think you should make an album. If you've never made an album before and you're a musician and you really want to give yourself a test, you should make an album. Now, you might say, well, actually, I can only play one instrument and I don't have recording equipment and I need a band to do that. I mean, you don't. I mean, when you do, to be fair, you do. Like, I mean, I say that as someone who has all of it. Like, I have an entire studio here that I've been building up over the last decade or so. I mean, I started out teaching back in 2011. I had a guitar and a little amp and a drum kit that was beat to shit. I had nothing else. And I taught guitar and drums. And within 2 years, I got to a point where I had 40 regular students a week. And what you do, and I think we've just had a request as well, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Rufo, for your request, by the way. The most important thing for you to do when you record an album is to appreciate the journey. But yeah, I want to talk about that more, but I also want to do Rufo's request. So let's check that out, eh? So yeah, Rufo. Thanks for your request. And what do we have from Rufo today? Rufo has provided us with this track. Here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be getting a webcam. I'm ready to spin the wheels again. I mean, like, literally, if this is a job, I should invest in, like, an actual, like, a webcam, right? That actually does work and doesn't frustrate the hell out of me whenever I do it. Oh, hang on. We just go to here. Here we go. Awesome. Let's do it. Troubles of the Past from Neve. Thank you, Rufo, for this. It's so busy with the organs, though, right?
Put all the troubles of the past behind me. I won't fall, see I'm standing tall, so I sidestep and leave it aside. Put all the troubles of the past behind, yeah. Put all the troubles of the past behind me. I won't fall, see I'm standing tall, so I sidestep and leave it aside.
This kind of reminds me of Jabez, eh?
Put all the troubles of the past behind. Put all the troubles on the back burner, let it blow steam and forget it all happened like old dreams. Yo, we gotta focus, we gotta go. Who can be the closest? Some people good, but they ain't the dopest. You see, I had beef, connoisseuria, but all it gave me was mad grief, senorita. I had to leave her. I put a note on the side with an arrow pointing up because you know that I'm fly. If I had to do it all over, I wouldn't change a thing. Ain't no telling what today will bring. I mean, 1 minute I'm just fine till my troubles start adding up like I'm hitting the plus sign. Everybody must find a way. We must find how to get up out of our own way. Crunch time, gotta keep the bad weather at bay. Plus I got a vision of a brighter day. Sunshine, yeah. Put all the troubles of the past behind me. I won't fall, see I'm standing tall, so I sidestep and leave it aside. Put all the troubles of the past behind, yeah. Put all the troubles of the past behind me. I won't fall, see I'm standing tall, so I sidestep and leave it aside. Put all the troubles of the past behind. It's now or never, I won't be buried in sorrow. Gotta focus on the present to get it better tomorrow. So I'm just letting it all go. Relax in mind and hope the rest will follow. Keep your head sleepy hollow. I will do whatever that I must do for my message to come through. Whether it's diplomatic or plus two, it's just truth that you can't deny. A single voice from the youth, but I'm amplified. I might go crazy cause nobody can face me, cause nobody can slow the momentum of my flow. Going downhill, though I'm moving up, blowing up. For anybody who doubted me, homie, I show them up, sure as hell. My trouble's about to set sail. No time like the present, comparisons just fail. Don't bail on reality. Either see your dreams become true or stay a fantasy. Which place would you rather be? Put all the troubles of the past behind me.
I like the objectivity of the lyrics.
So I sidestep and leave it aside. Put all the troubles of the past behind, yeah. Put all the troubles of the past behind me. I won't fall, see I'm standing tall, so I sidestep and leave it aside. Put all the troubles of the past behind. Just go, come on, just go, let my troubles just go. Yeah, there's no stress. I just let them troubles go, man. Let it slide.
So what are we going to do with this outro part? Is it a fade out? Are we going to have a different additional lead line, or? That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that one. Let's go back to Troubles of the Past from Neve. So what do I think Troubles of the Past is about? I think it's about someone trying to let go of the difficulties they've had in the past, trying to move forward into a brighter future. The story is interesting. There's more to it than that, but that's my first sort of impression of it. I think it's a cool thing to talk about. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. The vocals are chipper and smooth. The flow is clean. Great sort of like, the words come through clearly, and the flow and the rhythms and the variation of that. There's not, like, there's a sort of like pattern and sort of, a movement that we keep with, which is catchy, and it's interesting to listen to. But how do I describe it? At the same time, it remains fresh. even with that repetition there. The hook line gets stuck in your head. The story is interesting to listen through. And it's great. It's just relatable stuff from a person who just sounds like they're speaking the truth and they're speaking to you. The instrumentation in the background of it is very busy. The organs, like the right hand is just going absolutely berserk a lot of the time, but not in the way where it's kind of like in your face or too abrasive. It's more just they're very excited to be there and I want to tell you more of this story, and I appreciate that as well. There's a lot of excitement and spark and energy around it, which just makes it all the more sort of like intriguing. There's like an organ left hand as well that's a bit more sort of like bit more sort of static. We stick with the chords in the progression and enhance those as well with the extensions. The bass line in the bottom kind of moves with a central groove alongside the drums, and we just smash through the track there with a similar kind of intensity and feel a lot of the time. That kind of makes it more seem like an overall ambience rather than a journey, but it's an interesting listen nonetheless. Theme overall elicits a feeling of complexity with the situation, but we never get too dark or dire about it. So it's presumed that we feel like we're going to be able to get past those troubles and not stay in them for too long. So ultimately, I like the somber nature of the track, despite the intensity of the various drum grooves and the all of the notes on the right hand. When it's not there, you definitely miss it. But you appreciate that it's been there. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering, the production is tight, and it's well worth a listen. So thank you to Rufo for that request of this track from Neve titled Troubles of the Past. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it does remind me a lot of New Yabes, eh? I think that within itself, I would assume that's a compliment. I'm not quite sure, but either way, they could have been sort of like inspired by them. Yeah. I think that's it. There was one request, and that's okay. I feel like that request was well handled, though. Is there any other stuff to talk about? Oh yeah, albums. Right. I was going on a story time about albums. Um, when I started doing music, I started with a guitar and drum kit, and by like doing a little bit at a time, you work with what you've got. You learn and you stumble and you make a whole lot of mistakes, but you try and learn from those mistakes. You then build your capacity. And even though I made the mistake of trying to go way further than my ambition, like what I was able to do, because I didn't have the experience at the time at one point, I came back from that, got back to the fundamentals, regrouped, and then at this point, I can play the guitar, bass, drums, piano, ukulele, as well as a range of other instruments to a level where I'm starting to feel happier about it. And in addition to that, I can also write for other instruments and understand where they're niched and phrased in a way where I'm satisfied by that. So, for example, this album I'm working on is going to have 12 tracks. Again, at the moment, I've done 9 of them. There is a piano piece that I'm just working on at the moment. I just want to kind of get the flow of it because there's this kind of tricky bit where like there's like a aroused pineapple. You can do a request if you want. You can just go through the link. The link's in description. You just go to Ko-fi. It's okay. You can do that. That's okay. Nah, you're fine. There's nothing in the queue. Mate, it's all good. You go for gold. There's nothing in the queue. You can do it. It's fine. I'm just talking about albums simply because I feel like I feel like it's good to sort of just chill and hang out when you run a YouTube channel as well. You don't just want to seem like you're there just because you're here to get like paid requests. You also want to hang around just because it's good to talk to people, right? Because I do give a shit. I do care about it. That's why I'm even looking into getting a new webcam so that these streams are better and so that I can also just wear t-shirts when I stream as opposed to having to wear hoodies because of the lighting situation. And yeah, I know that you can change the lighting on cameras and stuff, but this camera, nah, it's frustrating. It makes me angry. It makes me want to throw it at something. The point of these live streams anyways is just for people to be able to share music if they want to. Because before these fan request live streams and now these ones, people would like comment and they'd want tracks done, but they had no way to get them done. And I know they're going through like Fiverr, for example, it's $25 for a song review, and that's not cheap. And even Patreon with the $12 requests, that's not necessarily cheap either. So, you know, like if there's a second track you want done, you know, you can go through here, or like if there's a song you want done, it's $5 per song, and I feel like that's reasonable. Because when you release music, if you don't get feedback on it, and this is something I learned, not that I'm trying to sell my feedback, I mean feedback from anyone. If you don't get feedback on music you're making, and it's for a commercial purpose, or you want to sort of start a career or something like that, you're effectively risking like just releasing it into the void. And that sucks, right? Because, you know, you put a lot of work and effort into it. And for a lot of people, they have to pay other musicians and studio engineers and stuff like that to get their stuff handled. And the problem with that is if you don't get that feedback, you just don't know if it's good or not. And again, not just from me, but from other people. And it can also be cool just to share stuff, you know. We got a request though from Katana and Protector. Nice. All right, let's do it. Thank you for your request. What do we have today? This is from Katana and Protector. And hope it's okay. It's sort of electro. At least it's not boring. Am I right? I mean, like, as long as you had fun making it, that's what matters.
Once everything's perfectly
fair,
organized,
let's listen.
I'll start working on my thesis.
This is the Lick the Rainbow Chemical Midnight version. I mean, the mixing is tight. You know, the YouTube link's good. Thank you for your request. Okay, we're going halftime now, alright. Great use of filtering here, bringing stuff down low after the high. No, it sounds commercial grade in regards to production. There's like a weird kind of phasing to the hi-hats that I'm not totally sure about, but I assume that's an effect. Yeah, I mean, that build there was really satisfying as well. especially with the bass response on the low end. I mean, there's a lot of really pretty sounding instruments and textures in here. There's dynamic range to it, so it's not the same loudness the whole time. So that was Lick the Rainbow Chemical Midnight version from Katana and Protector. And I feel like this is a good track. I don't really have any complaints about like the way it's made. There weren't any lyrics, so I can't really necessarily tell the story. I assume Lick the what does Lick the Rainbow represent? Is it just like more just kind of like Chemical Midnight version? Is it sort of like having like a trip or something like that? I mean, either way, I think that having a vocal line in here sometimes would have given it a little bit more sort of context. I'm aware that instrumental stuff's totally valid. It's totally like instrumental stuff's dope, don't get me wrong. I like a lot of instrumental music. I feel like if you had a vocal line in here somewhere just to provide some context for it, just so that if someone's listening, they kind of get, oh, that's the story. That's what the track is about. And it could sort of help people to sort of remember it. But I also understand that we may want it sort of more sit more naturally into a mix, and we may not want it to necessarily stand out as much. The use, it was a journey throughout the 4.5 minutes. There was no filler within it. We had peaks and troughs, dynamic range to it. The kicks and snare patterns there. Some of the rises were fantastic. The variations with the percussion were fantastic. But we did again stick to those chord note accents. It's a song where like you have the right synths for the right sort of functionality. Like I think that like the lower bass synths sounded absolutely, again, they were commercial grade, and there were some really pretty sort of like ambient lead synths and textures reverb wise in there, which were really satisfying to listen through as well. And things were mixed really neatly as well. The studio production, as I mentioned throughout the track, was commercial. There's no complaints about that whatsoever. There was great attention to the stereo field and trying to balance stuff between the left and right sides of the headphones. It was nice and loud without pumping. Like there was side chaining of the kicks and stuff like that, but wasn't to an extent where it's kind of like reduced and reductive. And I think that's genuinely it. Yeah. No, the music, the idea is one of them was satisfying. We understand how key signatures and scale shapes and stuff like that work and harmonies work. They weren't oversaturated. They typically sat with major or minors there to not sort of overcomplicate the harmonies within the track, which I think was smart there, as it's more of kind of like a track one to sort of groove along to and enjoy like that. Yeah, a lot of sensible decisions. I just think it would be adding vocals somehow. And I understand. I mean, I've also produced electronic music. I know it can be difficult to think of like what vocals to add to something, especially because intrinsically, a lot of the time, if we add vocals, we might need someone else to do the vocals, for example. And now you're going to need to direct them to do stuff in the way that benefits their side and things. But if there's anything else, it's just that. I feel like that's the way that a lot of people find sort of more commercial success is by doing like you get a lot of players that get to the mid range, but a lot of the bigger guys and gals they add vocals in there some way just simply because even if you're appreciating the vibe and aesthetic of it, the vocals do help sort of get that hook. But either way, still a fantastic track. No complaints about that at all. I do think one of the highlights was the use of the stereo field for difference, kind of going in and out of the sides there. Great gating of that. And the theme overall kind of just sounds like you kind of sort of like low-key, how do I describe it? It's like, it's not super energetic. It's not trying to get you to move too much, but it's in a way where like, it's kind of, you kind of smile whilst you enjoy vibing and dancing. I don't know. It's a tricky thing. I have to think more about that, but I think you're saying, I think I'd want someone really skilled to just have absolute freedom in doing the vocals and then changing entire track name. Yeah, hell yeah. Well, like, the beauty of it is you could probably could you not just make another version of this with vocals and have this as like the instrumental version and then like have the actual proper version with vocals, or the vocal version as like a separate release? And you could even maybe do them as like an A and B side or something like that. I'm not sure. I try to combine synthwave and hard dance and electro, and it works. Don't get me wrong. I think that adding the synthwave stuff into this is fantastic because it can be often a little bit too dry. For in some situations, just like blending subgenres is kind of, I honestly like blending subgenres. I think is the way to go in future for the evolution of the music industry. You have to just continue to blend and blend and blend to find your niche and just capitalize on that. I feel like that's the way to. And then, like when you've gone far enough, you then pull it back to go to stuff 10 years ago, like a lot of the mainstream stuff is doing, where they're even looking back at some of that stuff in the mid 2000s at this point and going back to that. But thank you to Katana and Protector for putting that track forward. I enjoyed reviewing it. What do we have next? We have a track from Paul7931. That was a cool song. It's great to hear originals. I like it as well. And it can be good to get that sort of feedback in real time as well, I suppose. But this is from Paul7931. What does Paul have for us today? Hey, you're welcome. You have a good night too. You're welcome. Take care. So this is from Paul7931. This track is titled Magic Yellow Orchestra Castalia. Thank you for your request, Paul. Let's get into it. Let's go. Yellow Magic Orchestra Castalia. Interesting wispy tone there. That build there with the synths though, man. The use of the male choir in the background is kind of... Oh. It's almost a little bit dissonant, isn't it? Not in a way that's dislikable. Oh, it was from 1979. That's incredible. Excellent. Well done. No, that's fantastic. Well done. So that was kind of a really kind of almost, I'd say that was potentially almost avant-garde. Castalia by Yellow Magic Orchestra featuring Yoshizawa. What do I think the track is about? I'm not sure. Is Castalia a word or is it like a title for something? No. Oh, okay. Castalia in ancient Greek and Roman literature was the name of a spring near Delphi sacred to the Muses. Oh, okay, cool. Ryuichi Sakamoto is also a member of this band. They are a very classic Japanese electronic band. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that, and welcome to the live stream if I haven't said that already. Yeah, it's very experimental. This was released back in 1979. Synths were not as well developed as they are now. The fact that they're able to get all these interesting quiet textures and synths and basses and stuff like that using the technology back then is absolutely tremendous and incredibly impressive, because it was just so much harder to make this kind of stuff back then. You had to put so much more time into getting the exact tones and tweaks that you needed to. It was a lot less ergonomic than it is now. Like, you don't just, get a plugin and load it up. You had to sort of program and sort of like wire stuff and get all those kind of things issued. Which I think is ultimately what made a lot of this music so original, is that all the different angles and actions they had to do in order to get to a workable position in the first place. There were key identifiable parts of it, like the piano lines there, and some interesting triads and arpeggios on that front there. I mean, if we go back a little bit and kind of go back to the start of it, like, I'm not even sure, like, they might have even done, like, the kicks and the snares and the cymbals as synths, because there is the capacity to be able to do that with synthesizers. You can make electronic drums and other modulated samples from synthesizers if you know how to adjust the attack envelopes and everything like that. And it's really fun. Like, I did that during my diploma in audio engineering and music production. Like, we learned how to make drums using synthesizers. But like, just that within itself creates an entirely unique experience, because you are creating your own drum kit. And again, with the technology as it was back then, that would have been very difficult, but it gives it, again, as I've said, a unique sound. But the slow, steady nature of the way we were approaching those drum grooves there, the wonderment, the kind of frazzled kind of like ambiguity of those synth pads added a sense of wonderment and mystique, and a little bit of darkness as well, with some of the sheens and the darker sort of registers we get to within that. And then the choir itself is just so it's gorgeous when the keys come in. When you got these oscillating whooshes that go in and out, they're almost like you're being surrounded by wind. And the choir in the background, just with those consistent unison notes, is just, it's awe-inspiring, man. It's such a surreal experience, but again, it does kind of make it seem like a little bit sort of like ethereal and larger than life, a little bit otherworldly. And as you go further into it, you explore some interesting lead passages there with the drums and everything like that. But then you return to sort of a darker motif then. It really almost kind of sounds like music from like a fantasy movie or like a sci-fi movie or something like that. And I adore it to pieces. And when Paul7931 talked about Ryuichi Sakamoto, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Sup, Judith? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. But yeah, really impressed with the effort put in here. They clearly have a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition, in addition to the fact that they understand how to not only make these sounds, but sort of stage them strategically in a way that makes sense for like each other within the arrangement and also within post-production, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering is very much of its time. That is a compliment. I feel like there's a sense of warmth and kind of mystery that comes from that period there with the experimentation. But it was also very very interesting to listen through. I'm glad I had the opportunity to listen to it. Thank you to Rufo for sending. Sorry, Paul7931. Apologies, Paul7931. The reason I said Rufo is because Rufo is next. I apologize. Paul7931. Thank you for that request. Orchestralia, Yellow Magic Orchestra with Norio Yoshizawa. And yes, it's Yellow Magic Orchestra. It's pretty crazy, man. I haven't heard them before, but I quite like them. I am also getting hungry. I really should get some food. I'm gonna get some food. Be right back. Be right back. Food. Okay, I have food now. I have foods. Food time. Headphones time. What do we have next? After Paul7931's track. We have two. We have one from Rufo. And then we have one from Dinner Hey. So what does Rufo have for us today? Well, we've already had a request from Rufo before, but we'll got another one. Go. Just quickly eat this. Get some food. Oh, it's Sheena Ringo, right, of course. Sheena Ringo on Spotify. Yeah. Let's do it. This is Mies May Sai from Sheena Ringo. The gong sound. It's quite pushed dynamically, isn't it? Where was this recorded? I'm gonna potentially make people upset after this. That is an extremely harsh tone on the strings. That is an extremely harsh tone on the strings. Extremely harsh. The guitar sounds fine, but the fiddle, or whatever we had on the side with the violin, was very hard, man. I mean, like, it's dope that we had, like, the cigarette at the end. I thought that was kind of sick. So, like, this was Mei Sai from Shinaringo. What do I think this track is about? I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what Mei Sai means. I got a deep L. What does Mei Sai mean? No, it's Japanese. I'm pretty sure it's Japanese. Apparently it's a variety of gin or wardrobe, etc., or a variety of sweet potato. I'm not sure. Deep Owl doesn't know what Mei Sai means, but or maybe it does. Either way, I'm not sure what it means. The vocal performance from Sheena Ringo here was great. We sang really well, really confident in our vocal range. Usual comments that I have about Sheena Ringo, absolutely nothing to complain about on my part. I'm really happy with the way they sang. The melodies, we danced effortlessly around a really busy composition in a way where we were present for the most part. And we sang in a way where it seemed authentic and genuine, and there was interesting melodies involved. We didn't really have any vocal harmonies. That we don't really have a lot of those in Sheena Ringo's music, to be fair. A lot of the complexity comes from the other instruments and how they interact with her. But ultimately still quite satisfying. Thank you, Camouflage. I appreciate that, Rufo. Awesome. Thank you very much. The track itself, 3 minutes 50, was really well textured. There was a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. My complaint is with the production, not the way it was written. The double bass at the start, the wow, there was a very visceral, gritty tone there, which could continue throughout the mix, walking between different chords and bass notes. The guitars on the side there had like an interesting mid-range kind of resonance there where they were kind of scratchy at parts, but they did have a kind of an earthen tone as well in moments, and they were palatable on the side of the stereo field. The strings, again, my complaint is with how they sounded. Actually, no, to be fair, there was a real harshness to the sound of the strings, the violin on the left side of the stereo field, and in these headphones, potentially there was a bit of a resonance in that high range, but oh man, it was brutal. Especially when like we really started to get really kind of feral about it later on. there was a real sense of angst and stuff like that that I got from it, which I think was potentially an intentional thing. And I suppose it would be an insult to say it wouldn't be because of the kind of level that Sheena Ringo is at, even earlier in her career. But in their career, but it's a situation where I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed listening to it. I think that there was just a bit of too much kind of to the tone of it. The melodies that we played on the strings complemented the guitars, the bass. The drum lines were phenomenal as well. You know, like there was a fantastic sort of sense of flow to it as well there, like working with the swing sort of triplets and like the kicks and snares highlighting the quarters. You know, it was fantastic. And everything niched together really in a way that was quite satisfying. It's just more in the studio recording, mixing, and mastering. This is evidence of where I will talk about how something sounds if I don't like it. There was just too much of a harsh tone for me with the strings on the left side of stereo field. In addition to that, though, I feel like this mix was pushed too much in the limiter. There was very little dynamic range. Stuff was kind of choked. And it sort of seemed like they were trying to make it as loud as they possibly could in a way that I personally feel is detrimental to the listening experience. I feel like if the rest of the album was like this, if I had to listen to the album the whole way through, I'd get a headache because of the fact that there was just everything just sounded so squeezed. And that's potentially because of the normalization that they did here, putting it onto Spotify. And that's because I have Spotify normalized. I know that you don't have to have it normalized, but I do. So when you normalize it, everything gets reduced. So even if they wanted a louder mix, it doesn't sound better because of the fact that it's turned down to kind of match everything else LOS-wise. But aside from the fact that there was not a lot of dynamic range and I didn't really sort of like appreciate that relative consistency of it because it kind of suffocated elements with the mix and sort of like smothered the vocals a little bit in parts. It was interesting the use of Foley with like the cigarette being lit at the end. I thought that was kind of cool there. And again, the attack of the double bass at the start was dope. You know, like the way it just kind of blasted you in the face there. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering, otherwise was great. Thank you to Rufo for sending through the track though, Camouflage by Sheena Ringo. It did sound like we were kind of talking about kind of camouflage needing to hide from maybe the things that were sort of like troubling us in our life, and maybe the intensity of the tone of certain things in the mix were meant to sort of like show a rough situation that the singer was in, and it was trying to sort of sound like what the lyrics were saying. I'm just not sure, but thank you nonetheless for your request. I really appreciate it. So that was cool. That was a cool track, though. I appreciate most of it. Most of it I really appreciate. I'm just going to be honest with stuff when I'm not necessarily vibing with it. Hi, Aqua. Just letting you know if you're unaware that I did review the track yesterday. The stream didn't go live for whatever reason. I'll upload that review later today. So just Aqua, if you can just have a read through that if you're here, that'd be great. But Dinner Hey next. Hi Dinner Hey, how are you doing today? I mean, I've already said hello to you today, but or Blue Dinner Box, but yeah. What has Dinner Hey got for us today? Because I think we've got 3 now. Okay, cool. So I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well, so I don't go over because I want to make sure I got the energies. This is Can You Celebrate from Amuro Nami. Let's go, let's do it. Here we are. Let's do it.
This is a story about saving.
One day, Marie said,
Let's go. Can you celebrate? Thank you to Dinahe for this request.
Can you celebrate? Can you kiss me tonight? We will love long, long time.
It's so full of joy, isn't it? Oh, interesting switch. Is that a minor key that we have there? I think it is. We switched to a minor key there for some reason. Oh, the resolution is so satisfying, man. So is this like a wedding song or something like that? Is this something that someone would play at a wedding? And key change. Excellent, because that is 5 minutes. I feel awkward ending it at the start of a key change, but I feel like we kind of understand what's going to happen next. This song marks the end of an era. After this one, new artists like Hikaru Utada and Shina Ringo begin to shine. Nice. Thank you, I appreciate you letting me know. This does sound quite different to like a lot of works that I've heard later to that. But this is Can You Celebrate with Amuro Namie. What do you think this track is about? Can you hold me tight? Let's a party time tonight. Say goodbye to my lonely heart. Say hello forever. So I assume this is about getting married, spending the rest of your life with someone that you love. It's nice to have parts of it in English as well as in Japanese, because then people like me can understand what's going on without having to sort of either deep out it or doing a year or two's worth of Duolingo. And still probably getting half of it wrong. I enjoy The fact that they sang the English and Japanese parts really well, the words came through clearly, solid vocal technique, really palatable vocal melodies and harmonies. They're pretty, they're full of joy. They navigate the different key sigs well, whether they're in that mid-range or up or going between the major and relative minors, if there's any parallels there, etc. And they maintain a presence throughout the track in the mix, whilst also singing in a way that is appropriate for the subject matter that they're talking about. The track at 6:05 is really, it's well fleshed out. I feel like it justifies its length because it's more of a vibe song. It's sort of getting you in that mood to celebrate. It's extended because it's allowing you to enjoy that moment even longer. There's more context provided over the slowdown to the different parts there. There are different chord progressions and sections per part there, which kind of loop in a way that's it's pleasant, really pleasant. And they sound pretty. And even when it goes into the minor key there, and there's a bit of groove to the guitar parts and the keys doing the swing kind of honky tonk. It's just, there's cool stuff like with the string flurries, for example, how they're subtle, but they go, and they kind of dance around the sides there. The drums coming in when they need to with different fills, but sort of maintaining, again, those vital quarter and eighth note grooves there kind of thing. We might even been working with 16ths, to be fair. I think we were working with swing 16ths, which is pretty impressive. That's not an easy thing to get along, but the drummer can dearly play. The bass line was nice and resonant with the chord progressions of root notes there. Nothing super wild there. Guitar parts were kind of like a crispy distortion that echoed on the sides there. The keys there with central motifs there that rang true with the major and minor triads of the key sig plus some extensions occasionally. And again, like there were lots of those instruments doing really cool things. To not sort of over-explain stuff, the piece, I think, navigates the throes of being in love with a person, maybe the difficulties they have had in trying to get to a point where they can be happy with that person. But I get the feeling with the theme that things are going to improve, and the key change going up signifies we've gotten to that finish line and things are going to get better and we are going to enjoy life together and that everything's going to be fine. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is tremendous. I appreciate the way that everything's leveled in the mix. It sounds very fresh. It's great for the time it was recorded. The vocals are not overproduced. We can just clearly sing. And yeah, no complaints in regards to that. It's commercial grade. So thank you to Dinahey. Thank you to Dinahey for putting that track through their request for Can You Celebrate with Amuro Namie. I really enjoyed it. I genuinely did. I think it's a really pretty song. And it's good to get a bit more of the history too. So I've got Can You Celebrate? That one has been done now because I am being a bit more stringent about making sure that I stick to the times. Okay. Cool. Right, we've got 3 in the queue. Thank you, Dinahey, for that last one. We've got a track from Paul7931. Thanks for your request. What is this song? This song is titled... What is it titled? We shall find out in a moment. It's titled YouTube Link.
If you knew how dirty your carpet really was.
I've been good, by the way. I've still got the ad block off, so I'm being good. Hello, NW Kitchen. How are you doing today?
Stay well away. Vanish carpet foam removes 5 times more dirt than vacuum.
Welcome
alone.
to the live stream. Hopefully your day is going
Our
well.
stain removal spray helps.
Man, these ads are loud. This ad is so loud. It makes me not want to watch the damn thing. It's just attention deficit advertising.
Many types of pet messes and helps reduce remarking. Love your carpets for longer with Vanish.
This is from Paul7931 with Eula, titled Ghosts. I think we've reviewed more Eula stuff in the past. Be good to hear more. Oh my goodness, it's very intense.
Only as the curious can see ghosts, ghosts like me. If you hold shot crushed eyes. I was impressed by his fucking like in movies. Villain bloom break the camera. Falling over on the pavement, making my heart broke, crushed in the rubble. Suddenly kissed in the filter, frightened for licking on his acid, slowly as the
I want to say something really quickly. I'm listening to the words and I can't get them. There are just some words that are not coming through. And I think, I'm not sure if that's deliberate or not. I feel like I'm going insane because I speak English, but I listen to this and I'm just, yeah. I think I need several times to get the hang of these vocals just because of like the way they're done, the range and everything like that.
like yours can see ghosts, ghosts like me.
It's not a criticism, by the way. It's just being honest about it.
To my head, a love instead. Under a crumbling sky, I feel insane. Under a clear blue sky, it feels the same. Only eyes like yours can see ghosts, ghosts like me. If you held a gun to my head, a love instead.
Okay. That was Eula with Ghosts. It's always such a immensely intense experience with Eula's music. What is the track about? I'm going to say what I think it's about, and I'm probably wrong because I don't feel sure of myself, but I'm going to have a go. I think it's about talking about ghosts and wanting to be loved, and like the gun to the head, I'm not sure, is maybe being able to see ghosts or believing in them or something like that. They lose their angel wings in the movie, in the film, because it feels like a film. The music video is phenomenal. I don't know what's going on necessarily, whether it's the sacrifice of an angel for some reason, or I'm not sure. Maybe sacrificing a person's innocence or something like that. But like, man, where do we even go with this? Help. Virtual angel. Yeah, it's help. Because I can talk about the instrumentation, and I can talk about the vocals and the quality of that, but trying to explain specifically what it's about, I need multiple times. It's so intensely and intricately detailed and layered that you just need time to digest it. So that's a compliment. It really is. It's definitely not superficial. It's definitely not treating the listener like an idiot. You have to really think about it. The vocal performance is fantastic. There's a sense of innocence and charm to it, even with the bits of glitchy distortion we have occasionally near the end there. Almost like the ghost is turning into something else, and maybe you're becoming a ghost, or you're not real enough to hold. I'm not sure, but either way, and we have this really sort of effervescent, gorgeous, sort of like bright kind of tone on top of a head voice there, and it's incredibly charming because what you have is an environment where we can sing in that range, and it always sounds fragrant, and it just sits so neatly with all the other stuff going on around the stereo field and the frequency spectrum. We have solid vocal technique. We have a bit of auto-tune going on there just for sort of stylistic purposes rather than anything else there. And again, with the vocal glitching and distortion later on as well. It's very much a, I want to do this stylistically kind of thing. We're not doing it because we need to make ourselves a better singer. Like, and it's great because I can sing. Yeah, it's cool. So we can sing, and the song's really kind of mysterious, and that's kind of dope. The track at 4 minutes 04 is wonderfully detailed. It's definitely, it's more of a kind of like journey song where we have the lyrics and the story that's being told there, but we have changing different chapters of it between the verse and chorus sections, and it makes it more intriguing because of that. How do I describe it? You have strummed acoustic guitars there that provide a nice sense of harmony with it in the lower sections. You have an interesting sort of like kind of hip hop, kind of industrial beat from like the early late 1990s, early 2000s there with like kind of filtered kit there. They're not too much. It's like kind of rather subtle with the hi-hats, kicks, and snares there with interesting 8th and 16th note patterns there. There is more something in the background to just kind of keep the track moving without needing to sort of push too much. But if we ever listen to different parts of it, I mean, like, there's a bit of push to that. I think there's just different drum kits. So there's different drum kits. There's like a sub drum kit and then like a main kit that's providing sort of more of a chord note sort of aesthetic to it. A bass line underneath that's kind of pushing those root notes. And little twinkly kind of synthy kind of stars on the top side as well, which is kind of nice. It's really pretty. And there's like these kind of sort of synthwave-ish kind of pad and textures there that are on the sides there, and they kind of glow around the mid-range. And you have these instruments come in and out, and that's what separates the different components there. We're not doing anything super wild or crazy, with any specific instrument. It's more that we lovingly craft and texture these different ingredients in a way where like the dynamic range is sort of created by the absence or inclusion of them, which makes for a more sort of like enthralling and less jarring experience. I mean, there's like heavily filtered guitars there. And like a kind of a whistly sort of pad as a sub layer there with more guitars. And sup LC, welcome to the live stream, hopefully you're well. Just a lot of really cool sort of mystifying textures in there. And interesting ideas that niche well into a piece that is really quite enthralling. Overall, I feel like the music kind of is like someone lost in their own head trying to figure out what's real and what's not. The vocals kind of go alongside that story in a way that makes sense. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is absolutely wonderful. Everything's incredibly well sort of placed in the 360 stereo field. Even though I wasn't necessarily getting all the words in English clearly, it just could partially because of the way, just the range of it, a lack of a lack of clarity to some of the words coming through. It's a very soft spoken kind of performance there. Also some of the way we double track the parts there kind of adds a little bit kind of like mist to it. It's still well sung, and they can clearly sing, and the guitars, bass, drums, synth, and everything else. It's sort of some of the string texture. I think there were strings in the lower ranges as well there, which were kind of cool. You really need to sort of like, you need to take notes throughout, but it's really well produced. Happy I listened to it. Thank you to Paul 7931, if I'm not mistaken, for putting through that request for Yule Ghosts. Really phenomenal musician. They're easily one of the most unique musicians that I've reviewed during my time doing these. If not musically, of course, then like legitimately aesthetically, right? I mean, like just to have that kind of propensity for that kind of alternative viewpoint with it being so visceral, but in a way that still isn't too like kind of aggressive. It almost comes across as melancholic, which is kind of a really interesting twist. But yeah, sup shredders. I'm going to close the queue now. Thanks for your requests so far and for being a part of the live stream. Will do. Because how many more have we got? And Judith's songs before we finish. Here we go. So we're going to do Aqua and Judith's songs before we finish, but we're going to be closing the queue now. There we are. So that's cool. That's good times, man. So it's been great to review some music today. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully you're all having a good day so far today, by the way. Hopefully you guys have been taking care of yourselves. It is Wednesday today in New Zealand. It's good times. Good times. We've also got lyrics. This is from Aqua 2024. For your quest. There we are. So this is Aqua with their track from Princess I song. This on Spotify. Here we are. Let's do it. Thank you, Aqua24, for this. Oh, it's kind of pretty. I recognize this chord progression now. I know this one very well. The right person. The strings are making it though. Because when did this get released? 2003, right. A little bit of buzzing there on the limiter, but that's fine. When it's a bit pushed on the limiter, you can hear a bit of crispiness, but aside from that, it's very good. You're welcome, New World Kitchen.
海阔天长，爱要耐心等待，仔细寻找，感觉很重要。宁可空白了手，等候一次真心的拥抱。我相信这世界上一定会遇到对的人出现。爱要耐心等待，仔细寻找，感觉很重要。宁可空白了手，等候一次真心的拥抱。我相信在这个世界上，一定会遇到对的人出现。
Fantastic. Well done. No, that was really pleasurable. I enjoyed that one. Going into with that chord progression we had initially, I wasn't necessarily sure how things were going to go because I've heard that reaction quite a lot. I've heard that chord progression quite a lot. And it gets a little bit kind of predictable. But that wasn't it with this one. Love may be wonderful, but I've got lyrics on the screen. I'm just having a look on the side there just to get a quick kind of understanding of it. Love may be wonderful, but I'm not going to sink into one because of loneliness. Love has to be patiently waited, carefully searched. The intuition is important. Oh, okay. So basically, as I understand it, thank you to Aqua24 for providing us some part of the lyrics as well. This track is effectively about someone that is saying, I know that I want to fall in love and be happy, right? But I also want to find the right person for that. I'm going to sort of like make sure that I make the correct decisions in order to ensure that. That's great. I think that's a really positive story. It's kind of self-affirmation and having standards and stuff. I think that's awesome. And I'm really glad that Princess Ai is singing about that. So that's a cool story to start things off with. Off of the album Love's Foolishness, released in 2003. The vocal performance from Princess Ai is tremendous. Fantastic. It was kind of like at the start, you got a feel for what they were singing about and how they were singing, and the intensity across this track was varied. And I love that. I like the fact that we explored our vocal range and were able to give more to it later on, in part due to the dynamic range within this piece, even if it really pushed the limiter later on. I think that the way we sang with solid vocal technique was tremendous there. We almost sounded like we were crying out at some points. We had some interesting vocal runs and some belts and stuff like that, which was cool. I know they were quite fashionable at the time, let alone at this point, but they were done in a way where it seemed very organic and authentic, and it just seemed like they were actually crying out, and they really wanted to find that person. You know, that was cool. It was well handled. It was especially for the starting track off of an album, it's really dope. I think that so the vocals were handled well. We sang well in a way which makes sense. We emoted well in a way that makes sense with the story. The way the track was written, you know, starting again with what I believe to be pianos. Yeah, so we had keys and we also had guitars at the start. There was no filler. We were instantly into that sort of main groove there, articulating the high melodies on the right, the strum of the guitars, the open chords there being really palatable, and the mid-range there, and things were neatly stacked. You eventually got into a point where we had bass and drums introduced, with the bass kind of resonating with those root notes of the chord progressions and kind of sticking with those. The drums, you know, they kept sort of a sense of pace as well, and typically pocketed, you know, nothing too sort of extraordinarily with that, which is fine. I think that's important to kind of like have a sense of balance and equilibrium there, and to be able to focus on the focal point, which was the vocals for this. The guitars got a bit more distorted later on, which is dope. We had added intensity there, and you know, it's such a charming track as well, and the vocal harmonies on top are stellar as well. And there are also some interesting synth pads or sort of strings in the end as well, which is a nice sort of foil for the last part of it. It gave the extra, that's the kind of extra layer I appreciate in an outro chorus. you need to add that little bit of extra kind of oomph to really make that ending special. And if it's the first track, you nail that, you got the list, people hooked, it's good times. So ultimately, I think the track was well composed and well structured there. We didn't overcomplicate the instrumental parts there. We did it in a way which was very palatable and sort of like appreciable. And things were niched well in the spectrum and stereo field. And the theme overall just kind of sounded like we were kind of staunch in our position of not wanting to sort of fall in love too soon, but that we had open optimism that we'd be able to find someone for us. So that was great. Yeah, absolutely. The voice powering through the bridge was dope. I appreciate that to Aqua 24. Having a key change is a staple of the genre, but when it's done tastefully, it works tremendously well. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering, things are pretty well handled there. It was loud. Like, it was quite loud, but not in a way where I feel it was detrimental. There was a bit of crispiness, a bit of kind of like distortion, kind of glitching stuff that was happening in the later stage, but it wasn't to a point where it was off-putting. It's just that it was quite loud, so it was getting that loud doesn't mean it was doing some work. You could still hear the vocals clearly, the guitar, bass, drums, keys, everything were well niched, well leveled, and there were no weird resonant frequencies and stuff was surrounding you in the headphones. Nice and loud without pumping. No, it was just loud, but that's okay. It was a part of the time, you know, and I think especially the mastering back then was a bit louder in the mid 2000s, so it makes total sense. But I had a great time with it. Thank you to Echo 24 for recommending or requesting this track from Princess Ai titled The Right Person. That was cool. I think if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time I've listened to Princess Ai, and I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that NW Kitchen was enjoying it as well. It's glad that you're able to sort of sing along to it. And Judith, it does give a strong 90s vibe. I find that a lot of the stuff and like a lot of the music from yeah, no, that's actually, I'm going to think about what I was going to say then for a moment. Because there's like parts where that's true and parts where I'm not as sure. We loved our ballads back then, is all I'll say about that. And I think that there are a lot of really great ones. So this last request for today, though, is from Judith, and this is titled Pillow Talk by Gareth T. Let's do it. Let's do it. The direct translation is memory foam, a common material for pillows. The lyrics talked about going through the acceptance stage of breaking up. Gareth added a little twist on top of the original Canton pop star, which I love a lot. That's awesome. Let's do it. The last track for today, Pillow Talk, or covered by Gareth T. Blue Yeti mic?
人抱着一張被，在記憶面內想起你枕頭，從前舒適感太完美，躺了大半天，差點記不起。重遊你午睡過的曲線，未見感情復甦過幾次，千位承受過的，仍沒法立時改變，竟然淋漓盡致為你失眠。下定決心回復單身都不可荒涼，熟睡那刻話未失憶，我亦能靜養。從此你我多累，床頭都不想對。假如無伴侶是某種乾脆，下定決心寧願輾轉反側百幾場，寂寞那刻無謂騷擾你近來動向，鈴聲設計關掉，明天見，尷尬都不要， 讓我貌似精神，裝作睡滿分，與你歡笑。誰人已替代我都不介意，自我催眠大方都可以，交辦全屬你的房間闊落半邊是空置，播凌亂發洩入眠幾次，下定決心回復單身都不覺荒涼。熟睡那刻把未殺一個亦能靜養。
Key change?
從此你我多累，床頭都不相對，狀態就算極空虛，至少贏得了獨居。Na na 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 na. 陷入太深，何用翻身更改這收場？尚未夠狠，無奈喜帖你共睡底箱。如果勉強倒序，從來都非一對，可能如密友便更加登對。點花他怕，還在祝福他跟你數樣。胸襟夠把，憑什麼灑脫自彈自唱？鈴聲切記關掉，明天見也最好不要，就當淚腺失調，早滲入記憶，你怪不了。
Crazy. It's such a surreal experience. Because this was Pillow Talk or Memory Foam or Pillow Talk from a cover by Gareth T, the a cappella version. It's a surreal experience listening to a singer on their own without any surrounding elements, especially if they've been put through a mix bus. Like, I think they've literally taken the mix from the actual cover they did and just put the audio directly here. It's surreal because I can only imagine how like naked a singer must feel when they're by themselves. The kind of courage to be able to just carry an entire performance by themselves without anything else there is tremendous. I think we sang really well here. I think we showed solid vocal technique. The words came through clearly. I'm not familiar with the language, but it sounded really sweet. And I think that the way we expressed ourselves makes sense for Pillow Talk. Like, we wouldn't have wanted to be too sort of aggressive about it, right? I think that ultimately it was well balanced. The key change we had later on was well telegraphed and easy to listen to. I feel like they could, just from a post-production perspective, I think they could have potentially not had the noise gate. So you'll have heard how it just goes quiet. And then there is like the reverb tail that goes on the side of the stereo field, right? Depending on how hard he's pushed it with his vocals and like some of those elements there. I feel like we could have maybe avoided noise gate, had the breathing in there, just have it more like a conversation with like an actual person. As opposed to like when you have the noise gate there, and it kind of sounds like it's cutting off the conversation when the noise gate kicks in. And in a mix, it makes sense with other instruments because you want the other instruments to have precedent when there are not vocals. But I feel like by themselves, and this is not a criticism of Gareth T, because he sang well. It's a production comment, I'd say. If we hadn't had that noise gate, that's the only thing I feel could have improved it. Because there are occasional bits where I heard like the noise gate not reducing the vocals there. And personally, if that was the case, I would have probably gone through that and found that I would have listened through it in post after I'd done all that and just removed that one bit from the mix. But either way, I think it's really well handled. I like the way the vocals sound. They're really sweet. It's a very earnest, expressive, honest performance, and I enjoyed listening to it. So thank you to Judith for that. I appreciate it. Gareth is a gem and a new gen Cantonese singer-songwriter. He is known for his R&B composing style. Absolutely. I can completely understand what you're saying there. It makes total sense. And NW Kitchen, I'm glad that you can sing along to it. That's awesome. It must be great knowing the language and being able to understand and be able to, I would enjoy that. I wish there was like a way you could just hear a language and instantly know what it is without having to like do years of it. But that's just how it is, to be fair. But that for us, that is the live stream for today. We have reviewed tracks from Rufo, Katana and Protector, Hole 7931, as well as Dinnerhay, Aqua24, and Judith. Just before I go, if you're a patron and you haven't submitted your Patreon video requests for the month, please do so. If you're unaware, I do monthly music videos, like dedicated music videos as opposed to live streams down in the Patreon down below. But if you are a patron and you haven't submitted your requests, if you could please do that, that'd be great. That way I can get them done by the end of the month. There is going to be the 32nd of these live streams re-uploaded later today because I want to get that review I did for Aqua on the channel as well, so that things are nice and sort of even and everyone's got that stuff there. I'll be back tomorrow for another one of these. Then we'll be doing another one in a couple of days' time after that on Saturday. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks again for your requests and also for being a part of the live stream. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you all next live stream. Spiderhands out. 3, 2,